In a world of chaos, you have the power to unlock a time-warping version of our show with a peek behind the scenes and even more Nathan and Krissy banter.
That's right. When you become a member of the most excellent 80s movies podcast at truestory.fm, you get episodes 1 week early.
Plus, each episode has bonus content for your listening delight and amusement that you can't get anywhere else.
And you can hop onto the truestory.fm Discord to join the conversation there too, where we chat about our show and all the other shows that truestory.fm has to offer.
So be a hero to this podcast and a hero to your ears. Go to True Story FM today, click on our show page, and become a member.
And when you're out there in the world, be sure to keep the most excellent 80s movies podcast motto in mind. Be excellent to each other and party on,
dudes.
Before we dive in, here's another show you can enjoy in the True Story FM family of entertainment podcasts.
Ever wondered what happens when a Zoomer who grew up on the Clone Wars,
a millennial Anakin defender,
and a grumpy old Gen Xer walk into a cantina to talk Star Wars?
Then we've got the podcast for you.
Star Wars Generations is a place for fans of all backgrounds to come together, talk about why we love the franchise, and what we can learn from each other.
With so much new Star Wars content coming out, we take a deep dive into all of it. We talk stories and characters, what we learn about the Force and the Empire, Republics old and new, and how each story adds to the larger picture.
Besides episode-by-episode coverage of the new shows, we've been going back to watch the movies in release order. We talk about Star Wars novels and video games, along with fan content and cosplay.
And with each episode, we're just starting the conversation, and we hope you jump in. We'll read your feedback, answer your questions. We've even had full episodes dedicated to questions raised by listeners like you.
You can find us under Star Wars Generations on your favorite podcast app, or by going to theethicalpanda.com. May the Force be with you.
Now this is podcasting.
Meet Zinnia.
You are being very polite to someone who is attempting to kill us.
Her wife, Saffron.
You know I'm wildly, madly in love with you.
And their best friend, Goldie.
Glad we didn't miss all the fun.
Swords in hand, they defend their city from the worst of humanity.
I am Lord Buxton Blue.
Equity Electric.
Herr Haig. Virgil Walcott. Vicious Suave.
Follow their adventures on the Swashbuckling Ladies Debate Society audio drama podcast. Available now at truestory.fm/swashbuckling.
Welcome to the most excellent 80s movies podcast. It's the podcast where we light cycle through the 80s movies we think we love or might have missed with these our modern grown-up eyes to decide if we love these movies still or not. And today we're talking about Tron, a movie selection from 1982 about which Google says, when talented computer engineer Kevin Flynn, played by Jeff Bridges, finds out that Ed Dillinger, played by David Warner, an executive at his company, has been stealing his work, he tries to hack into the system. However, Flynn is transported into the digital world where he has to face off against Dillinger's computerized likeness, Sark, and the imposing master control program. Aided by Tron, played by Bruce Boxleitner, and Yori, played by Cindy Morgan, Flynn becomes a freedom fighter for the oppressed programs of the grid. And that explanation offers me way more insight into this movie than I gleaned from watching it. Okay, here comes the trailer.
The NCOM 511 computer. Center of the most calculating intelligence on Earth. Within it, there exists an unknown civilization where man has never been. A startling new world where time and distance defy the laws of logic.
I still do not understand why you want to break into the system.
Because, man, somewhere in one of these memories is the evidence.
Kevin Flynn, computer genius, searching for answers inside the system.
Hey, it's the big master control program everybody's been talking about.
Stop! I'm warning you. I'm gonna have to put you on the game grid.
Propelled into the digital world of the computer itself.
Oh man, this isn't happening. It only thinks it's happening. Hey, there's been a mistake. I gotta see the guy in charge.
You will.
Who's that guy?
That's Tron.
Trapped inside an electronic arena where love and escape do not compute. The journey begins across an electronic sea on cycles made of light.
Get them!
Tron. Enter its world this summer.
Tron, where love does not compute. Oh, goodness gracious. I'm Krissy Lenz, one of the directors at the Neighborhood Comedy Theater in downtown Mesa, Arizona. And with me, as always, is my illustrious award-winning co-host who will introduce himself now.
I'm Nathan Blackwell, independent filmmaker with Squishy Studios.
And joining us this evening, or this episode, is another certified young person. He is a performer at the Neighborhood Comedy Theater in downtown Mesa, Arizona. He is an illustrious volunteer at the Sonoran All Valley Improv Festival. He does podcasts and video editing. He's an all-around champ. It is Joe Malone.
Thank you. That is way nicer of an intro than I was expecting, so I appreciate it. Thank you, Krissy.
I'm so excited for this one because I know that I had never seen this movie before, and I know that Joe, in spite of being a young person, you're very well versed on 80s movies.
Correct.
So we tried to find something you hadn't seen. And
this
we
is
landed
certainly something
on
I
Tron.
hadn't seen.
Yeah,
Nice.
and now you're all the better off for having watched it.
Yeah, and now as of 2 days ago, not only have I seen it, I've seen it twice. Because I rewatched
all
it.
The better.
I know. So I have a list that I made after watching it the first time. And that list is called Why I Hate It.
Oh,
I have
great.
a list that I made after watching the second time, and the list is called Why I Actually Really Like It.
Okay, good.
So I figure
you're allowed to hate it.
I feel like we're gonna bridge the entire spectrum in terms of reactions during this podcast. That's just my gut feeling.
Okay, great. Nathan, what about you? Was this a childhood favorite, or what? I honestly can't guess whether or not you love this movie.
Yes. So this was a childhood favorite. There's some movies. It was tough to be a young person in the 80s. Because you couldn't, you even if you had a VHS player, that doesn't mean that your collection was very big. And so sometimes you'd have to rent them or you'd have to tape them off of TV. But this was one of the ones that I had probably seen as a young person like a couple dozen times. There's like some sections where I could, all these memories just pop back in terms of like the sound effects and just actors reactions and takes on things. Having said that, it's probably been about 10 years since I've seen this movie. And
Okay,
so
that's
I
fair.
feel like I was able to appreciate it as kind of a return viewer. Some things, processing them as one would assume as like a first time viewer.
Okay.
Yeah. So while it, while while I have a nostalgic love for it, I certainly can see some of the one or two issues with it.
Some of the flaws, some of the
Right.
cracks in
Right.
the digital
Uh-huh.
surface.
But
Yeah.
overall, though, is your impression still positive?
Yeah.
Like, did it trend downward, having seen it again after so much time?
Right. I would probably not recommend it cold to a lot of people as maybe I would to. It's kind of like it's a recommendation with an asterisk.
Oh,
It's
okay.
yeah, which is so it would be. So I guess hot take. It is a recommendation. I did enjoy myself, but some of the weaknesses became a little pronounced this time around. So,
hot take from me. I really liked it.
Oh, good.
I also did not know what the hell was happening for like I usually summarize the movie, but I'm gonna have to give you just like impressions because my notes are all over the place. I did
Okay.
not understand what was happening like a lot of the time, but I was so into Jeff Bridges.
He's so good. Like classic, like, in his, like prime Jeff Bridges.
Primo. Like, I don't think I've been this like into our main character since it was Kiefer Sutherland in The Lost Boys. Because did
on
you
the
love
list
Jeff
of
Bridges?
why I actually really like it, on that list at the bottom it says Jeff Bridges is pretty hot, actually. So
Jeff Bridges is pretty hot, actually, and he
Kind
does
of,
take
yeah.
his shirt off at one point, just like nonchalantly
Oh
shirt
yeah,
off, and I'm like,
every 80s
okay,
movie.
Disney,
Yeah, every 80s movie has to have a shirt off scene.
you gotta pop off that shirt, Jeff Bridges. Oh my gosh,
It
I didn't know
advances
I
the
was
plot.
that into the Big Lebowski. But I am. So your first impression, number one, Joe, was that you hated it, and then you decided you actually kind of liked it.
Well, okay. I feel like saying that the graphics are bad is just so obvious and low-hanging fruit, and also like that's really easy to say in 2025. This came out in 1982. Like,
Yeah.
Yes.
this is a very long time ago, and also too, the first time I watched it, I was like, this is a lot like Star Wars. And then the second time
Yeah.
I was watching it, like, no, they're actually trying to make it like distinct from Star Wars, kind of, because I mean, it is a very similar plot in terms of the actual like adventure element of it. But I feel like they kind of try to make it their own. And there's a quote that I heard recently. I don't know. I think it's attributed to David Bowie, actually, but it's no one made money by doing something first, which is like, yeah, even though it's not like groundbreaking, like it's still kind of led the way to like a lot of popular cinema. Like today, they're making movies about like every video game, I feel like, and they're grossing so much. So yeah, I mean, it's like Nathan said, like a recommendation with an asterisk. Like, it's not an objectively groundbreaking movie by any means, but it also kind of is at the same time.
Yeah.
If that makes sense, because they were really trying something that was so new.
Yeah. I think there's a quote from, shoot, I don't know who, but it was basically without Tron, there would be no like Toy Story, like there was not
The Matrix.
There was not another CGI. This was like the first real CGI movie ever.
In fact, a fun fact that I learned was that it got in fact, let me look it up. It got banned from the Academy Awards because they they thought that it was unfair. Yeah, it says the film was disqualified from receiving an Academy Award nomination for special effects because the Academy felt at the time that using computer generated effects was, quote, cheating. Can you imagine? Can you imagine?
And I guarantee you that the computer, like, it's not like they were able to visualize the models and then move them around how they wanted. They had to basically program and do math to do everything.
Yeah.
That sounds horrible.
Yeah.
Yes.
Using math to make a movie.
Gross.
I mean, that I want to add that to the list of reasons why I like it now. Thank you for telling me that, Krissy. That's really interesting because I don't know. That's why, like, that makes me think of like Some Like It Hot is another movie that I love. And part of why I love it too is because for the time, it was actually really revolutionary to have a storyline centered around two men dressing up as women. And that was like really taboo and pushing the label. So you're actually taking a pretty big risk by making that movie, which I think makes it more respectable in a way. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's interesting. I didn't know that.
Yeah, and like it was not even though the film like did okay, it's 26th on the top 100 films of 1982, which surprised me. I looked that up. But it was considered a commercial failure. But it says the arcade video games based on it proved to be a tremendous hit and outgrossed the film.
Wow.
What?
Yeah.
Okay.
There was at least
not a hit.
Two Tron video games. I remember playing it. The one I played the most, like as of like 2 years ago at Starfighter Arcade, is the one where you can choose 4 different games to play. One being the light cycle, one being kind of like a disc duel, another one being like a tank fight.
Okay.
But and then I think there was one that was just about like the
Jeff Bridges taking his shirt off.
Yeah. Jeez, yeah. And
now we're interested.
But yeah, it was like a disc dueling game, and I remember it being like complicated. Like, were there 2 different controllers? I don't know. That was one that I didn't really get to play much.
Speaking of video games, our bonus content tonight is going to be talking about our favorite video games. So if you want to hear more from Joe, Nathan, and Krissy talking about their favorite video games, become a member at True Story FM. Okay, commercial over.
Nice.
So this is the part where I usually start recapping the movie, but like because I didn't understand it as we went, like it's going to be tough for me.
Okay,
so
I feel like I feel that having seen it as a kid and just accepted things and now kind of like reinterpreting them as an adult. Like I feel like I can be a resource for questions involving
good.
pretty confusing plot elements.
Okay, and I want to know what you hated as we go, Joe.
Okay. And I did it in chronological order as well. So as you go along, I can.
But this movie is very 80s. Like as 80s movies go. Yeah, from like from the music to the looks to the art design.
Oh, incredibly, yeah. I didn't have a problem with that though. I don't know if you guys can see, but my phone background is Sean Young from Blade Runner.
Awesome.
So like I don't have a problem with that. Like I don't have a problem with that vibe at all.
Okay, awesome. Yeah,
I was into the vibe that they were setting up for me, even though I thought the costumes were nuts. They were just nuts. Like I couldn't even form an opinion on them because I was just like, what is all this cloth?
Yeah. And in the randomest places.
In the
just
randomest
like draped
places.
over a shoulder. Yeah, the costume design was interesting, but the lighting was really cool. I really liked the combination of red and blue a lot of the time.
Yeah, I thought that was great, and I was like, I was in the world, even though I was taken out of it periodically by just how ridiculous it was.
Yeah.
But yes, it's so 80s. It's so emblematic of this era and like in 1982 what we thought the future of computers would be. And I realized that this movie is why people thought the internet was a series of tubes that you could navigate with a staple.
It's interesting though that like this movie really, in some ways, is about a lot of the concerns we're having right now about AI.
Yeah, very much so.
You know, the master control, the MCP, the master control program, it's basically a super program that is controlling hundreds of other programs. It's basically like a manager program that's taking over all their functions and absorbing all the power. And then it's growing exponentially because there's no borders on it anymore. And so it's now doing things like infiltrating the CIA or like the
Pentagon.
the Pentagon, and expanding its control. And it's British.
And it's so British, which I loved.
I liked that it was British as well, but I didn't like that it was so Sark, the MCR or MCP, not MCR, My Chemical Romance, those like all three of those characters were the same guy, David Warner, and I love David Warner, but I didn't love that it was all played by him though. Like that just seems off to me. I don't know if that struck anyone else the same way, but
I saw David Warner and I was like, where do I know this guy and why do I not like this guy? And I realized it was from Time Bandits.
He was so good in Time Bandits. He's so good in everything.
I know him from Twin Peaks, and he's a very villainous British guy in that too. So this was on brand for him.
He's got the villainous British guy market cornered. So we start with him, and we're in the light cycle game. And we're inside like a big like Star Destroyer like ship, and he is Sark, and he's like, oh yeah, the MCP is like, oh, you're so brutal and sadistic, you should be worse. And he's like, okay, I will. And so we realize that inside this computer world, they're kidnapping programs that have everyday functions, forcing them to play these games, Gladiator or Running Man style. And when they eliminate the program, they take over its functions. Do I have that right?
I believe so. Yeah.
Okay.
Because they're taking over very basic stuff like actuarial programs and like defense programs and things like that, and basically the MCP is absorbing their programming. He's basically taking over their function.
I don't really understand. Oh, sorry. I was just gonna say.
No, you go.
How do they? They're supposed to be the counterparts of people in the real world, though. So I don't understand how they're taking them over. I understood it the same way as you did, Krissy, but I don't understand that element of it.
So that is the interesting one of the interesting things about Tron is that there's a religious aspect to it. That they've made basically the programs resemble the people who have made them, and they think of the users as these forces that have given them missions, and they look to them. They don't know what they look like. They don't realize that they've been made in their image. But they look to them almost as gods because they've given them a mission, a program. You know, like the users, they serve them, and I think it's just creative license that they look exactly like the people who have made them. So if Jeff Bridges had multiple programs there, that they would all look identical to each other,
and I'd be fine with that.
Yeah,
I think there should be more Jeff Bridgeses.
Yeah, they all simultaneously take the shirt off.
Yeah, I would be into that for this movie. So we cut to the real world, and Jeff Bridges is trying to. This scene reminded me very much of the Matrix. He's trying to hack to find a file, and so he's got a little Jeff Bridges in the computer who's flying around and being chased by angry Staples, and he gets caught. And did you guys notice that when they're questioning him, the program version of Jeff Bridges, he has a single man tear roll down his cheek?
It gets really dramatic in that moment. It's like I feel
His acting.
like I'm into it, but at the same time, it's like maybe we need like a slightly emotionally safer version because I think
No.
I feel like there's a couple of points where the actors go really hard on the acting. They go really hard on actors. Go really hard on the acting. Really trying to make a meal out of a moment, and sometimes it comes off as a bit much.
I understand it.
Loved it.
I understand it. I'm on their side. It's, 2 roles for the price of one. Like, you can't not do it if you have the opportunity. It's fine.
Nathan, the director, is like wanting to reel them back.
First watch me agrees with you. Second watch me is like, no, I'm okay with it, actually. I've come around the other side.
So we go back to the real world, and in the office, a nerd is looking to get into the master control program, but he can't. And the main guy, Dillinger, who is David Warner, tells him that everyone with level 7 control has been locked out until they confront and find who has been doing all this hacking. And did you guys notice that there was a sea of cubicles that resembled the computer world, which I thought was a nice image. And so we learn about Tron, which is a security program. And the Master Control is not happy about Tron and wants to get rid of Tron.
Yeah. Which is a good way of creating this character who then who's basically like Captain America inside are we calling it the Tron world? Tron inside the Tron world?
Yeah,
inside the computer world. And so he is
Tron.
basically like a super soldier. He is basically Captain Awesome.
Yeah.
Which is interesting because he's not Jeff Bridges,
He's not the main character.
Yeah.
And the movie is called Tron.
Yeah.
It should be called Jeff Bridges Takes His Shirt Off in this. So he goes to Laser Bay 2, where there's an old guy who's trying to undo an orange and put it into the computer. And
this is one of those examples. It's like you see the movie. It's like everyone is there's like a MacGuffin that everyone something that everyone is fighting over. And then there's like this bridge invention that is actually way more advanced. And it's like the ability to actually scan a real object and turn it into a digital thing. Like the amount of energy that's actually required. I was actually watching a YouTube video that was unrelated to this, but the ability to turn a human being into pure energy is enough energy to like run the world for days, the entire world for days. So to turn that, so that itself is beyond human technology, way more than everything else that everyone is fighting over.
Right.
Like
the actuarial programs.
Yes.
So he goes to see his girlfriend, and they're like, someone is hacking, and he's like, it's Flynn, her ex-boyfriend. So they go see him at his arcade, which is where we fall in love with him.
It's also my favorite location in the movie. It's also the peak 80s-ness is that arcade.
Love the arcade.
One of the reasons why I hated it was when they get there, there's a giant crowd around Jeff Bridges, and he's playing this video game, and it's supposed to be like he's this whiz or something, and then cut to him playing the simplest, slowest point-and-shoot game of all time. It's like anyone could play this.
Against the Angry Staples. And every time he kills an Angry Staple, the people are like, yay!
Take your shirt off, Jeff Bridges.
Do it. Just do it, Jeff Bridges. So we learn that he is hunting for evidence that these video games that he invented were stolen by Dillinger, and MCOR was so in love with the video games that they made him like the executive vice president of everything. Okay. Do I have that right, Nathan?
That's correct. That doesn't. Yeah, it's not great, but that's correct. Yeah, I think
I also watched the movie Blank Check the other day, and if that isn't far-fetched, what is,
What is? So they're like, oh, if we could put our Tron program in, that would make everything right. They would shut it all down. So they're like, great, let's go to MCon and we'll break in and we will put Tron into the computer. So there's a moment where they're literally sneaking into MCon and Jeff Bridges is doing like big arms. I realize podcast audience that you can't see me, but he's doing like a Grinch walk.
Overt cartoon character sneaky move. Yeah.
It's like Scooby-Doo sneaking.
Mm-hmm.
And I loved him all the more for it.
He's a rebel, that one.
He is. So they go to the girlfriend's computer, which is up 18 flights of stairs and several ladders.
Oh yeah.
Were you guys confused by this?
So that's their giant laser array.
Yeah.
And that's a real thing that they were that was where they were. That was an actual real, like one of those like hadron collider version like lasers.
No, really?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's amazing. So he's hacking, and the MCP comes to life and is like, we can't have this. Zippity zappity zoo. Hilarious. He throws his arms up into the air and like falls backwards. And he is zip zapped.
Digitized.
Into the computer world.
Yeah.
Okay. Now we're off to the races. He is in the computer.
Computer.
Yes. The computer threatens Sark and is like, you got to get this guy Flynn. And so Flynn goes to a prison where he meets Ram.
Yes. And do you recognize
and
Ram?
Tron. I do not. Who is Ram?
He is Billy the Kid from Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure.
You are freaking kidding me.
Oh my god.
I love that. I love that fact. I did not recognize him at all. I think it's because I couldn't see past his nerdy little costume.
It's the hat. Yeah, the hat was missing.
The hat. Yay. What a fact, Nathan. Coming through as always. This is why you win all the awards.
Oh.
So they have bunches of prisoners and they march them around and they're like, you get this frisbee. Don't lose it. It's your magic frisbee.
Yeah, it's like his read write data disk.
Yeah. So they play High-Lie.
Okay, I was gonna say, did it look like High-Lie to anyone else?
It looked exactly like High-Lie.
Okay.
And he's like, you're gonna keep playing games until you die. They play Light Cycle.
Which is intense.
But it's just like a racing game, but you run at each other and then turn at the last minute.
I think you are creating a path behind you, and the goal is to create like a barrier for your opponent that they run into.
So it's like the game Snake.
Yeah, kind of.
That I played on my Nokia phone in the year 2000.
On your Nokia phone. Wow. I actually really liked the graphics and animation of the light racing in particular. The rest of the movie was like a little iffy for me, but this in particular I actually really enjoyed.
Yeah, this is like the pod race in episode 1, where it's like the big event is in the middle of the movie. You know, like, yeah, this was the thing this was the sequence that really excited me, but also like terrified me because I knew that there was no way that I would ever be able to win one of these things.
Oh yeah, same. Yeah.
Yeah. I liked the light cycles too, but I didn't really understand what the point was. So someone dies and knocks a hole in the wall. So Jeff Bridges, Tron, and Billy the Kid escape.
Mm-hmm.
And then they're just zooming around. And then
they're
out
escaping.
in the computer.
Yeah.
They're in the computer world.
Yeah.
They're on their own. it's the Wild Wild West, and they just get to zoom, and
Yeah, that's
drink
how the
from
internet works.
pools of power. Yeah, once you're out of the light cycle game, you just zoom around.
Krissy,
So
that's
they
how computers work, okay?
okay, I get it. So they need to go to this tower, and that's the
Yes.
object of that's what they objectify as their mission, right?
They need, yeah. So what they're trying to do is they're trying to communicate with the users. In particular, Tron is supposed to communicate with his user, and so they're just looking to make a phone call.
Right. They just need to phone home.
Yes.
Like our least favorite 80s movie.
That was a big deal in the 80s. Phones, it was
Phoning
harder.
home.
Yeah, you had to spend half a movie just to make a phone call. So
Yep.
appreciate this, Joe.
Oh, I appreciate it. Don't worry.
Okay,
It's
good.
one of my least favorite 80s movies as well. By the way.
Oh.
Yes. Vindication.
It's too overhyped. That's all.
Indeed.
Kids these days.
Look, I don't have a list on ET. I have a list on Tron. Okay, I'm here to talk about Tron.
All right,
It's
let's talk about
true. So they get separated, and Jeff Bridges somehow has to kill a guy and absorb his red power. So he's disguising himself with the bad guys.
Yeah, the equivalent of just putting on a disguise.
Yeah, but he kills a guy.
Well, you have to kill a guy.
Okay. Meanwhile, Tron has found the girlfriend. They climb a slide.
Yeah, there is like a romantic triangle or like throuple in the making.
Yeah, it's I say they're a throuple. I'm into them all being together.
You know what? I am too.
Okay,
not to
good.
jump ahead, but
yeah,
he did not seem phased at all at the end when I don't know if they were going for this or if this was just me, but like when they kiss at the end when she's like, "Oh, you're actually alive," and then Tron kind of laughs and he was like, "Oh, that was great." And she goes, "I thought you were dead," like implying that she made out with Jeff Bridges.
Yeah,
I wrote this down because there is romance between some of these characters. I'm just glad that computer programs are horny.
Yeah, me too. I wish they were more horny.
I think they don't kiss before the end. They're just like clearly a couple. So maybe they're just like very genteel and like very surface level.
Well, they're still kind of young in a lot of ways, you know? They don't know how to process these emotions.
Yeah.
These strange feelings.
Gotta come along and teach them all about kissing.
Yeah, the internet will teach them soon enough.
Yeah. Yeah, mind you, this was the 80s.
Yeah. They just need to wait like 10, 15 more years.
They find the old man sealed in a stone shrine, and they get past him to go to some thing where he gets the magic disc.
Right. To phone home.
This code disc equals freedom, they say. It's like the phone number to phone home. They kill a bunch more guys and steal a ship. They don't realize it, but they almost knock Jeff Bridges off of it. Mm-hmm. And he's like, "Hey, save me." And they save him. And then it's the three of them, the throuple on the ship, being sexy, and just flying for ages and ages and ages.
Mm-hmm. All right. So at this point, I'm going to ask Joe, is there anything on the notes that you took that you want to discuss?
Regarding the ship that they're on specifically, it's very strange. I mean, really all of the ships in general, just any kind of vehicle or aircraft in the movie is very strange, very interestingly designed. Did anyone else find it funny, the MCP, like when it's talking to David Warner's real world character, like it'll occasionally cut to the screen and there'll be like a fully typed out paragraph block of what the AI is narrating, like as it's
Yeah.
narrating it,
Uh-huh.
which is just a really
I love
interesting
that.
detail.
I love that.
You have to do that on purpose, but that clearly doesn't make sense. So it's interesting to me to be intentionally wrong about that. Other than that, though, I mean, I understood it pretty much exactly as Krissy did thus far. Yeah,
Okay, very good.
So there's a crash, and everyone thinks Tron is dead. But Jeff Bridges and the girlfriend escape the ship. Tron confronts Sark, and they have a frisbee fight.
Mm-hmm.
The MCP is abducting and going to absorb all the, quote, religious programs who still believe in their users.
Mm-hmm.
So there's probably something that means something there. Tron kills Sark, but the MCP revives him and gives him power to get huge.
Mm-hmm. To embiggen.
He embiggens himself.
Embiggen.
There's a smooch. Jeff Bridges and the girlfriend kiss, and he jumps into the beam, which sends him directly into the MCP's head. Right through the nostrils.
Yeah.
Tron finally hits the middle thing that he's been trying to hit with his frisbee.
the crack in the MCP's armor. Like he's got this defense.
Frisbees.
Yeah. With his frisbee.
His
data disk.
On that part of his armor, I like that Tron does not try to go any higher or lower than where he's originally throwing. He just stays in that exact same area.
Uh-huh. Well, I mean, you still have to follow the rules, right?
That's true.
Everyone escapes. Everything turns blue. It's not very climactic. Tron and the girlfriend kiss. Flynn gets zapped back and gets his data files. He gets the proof. Dillinger in the real world sees this and is a little sad.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And then we see a helicopter land, and Jeff Bridges hops out. And he's like, I'm the executive vice president now. We won. And they hug because they're a throuple.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
Time-lapse shot of a city skyline, then roll credits. I forgot about the time-lapse shot.
It was nice. I liked it. It took us to the computer world. Our world is just like the world of the computers.
You can walk around those cables just like anything in real life.
Yeah. Our users are God.
I personally, even after the second watch and being kind of a Tron apologist, the ending still kind of falls flat for me. I feel like
it just falls flat.
Yeah, like you either end it right when they escape from the computer world, or if you are gonna follow them back into the real world, have like a little bit more room to breathe than that. And have David Warner, as Krissy said, looking sad at his desk, and then that's it for his character. Like
that's it.
A little bit more than that, I would say.
Does he go to jail?
Yeah. Tron jail, perhaps.
Honestly, it's also weird just to have. It's like, the board saying whoever really invented these great video games, they get to be our president. You know, it was weird with David Warner, and it's like, it turned out it was Jeff Bridges. All right, you are our president.
Well, to be fair, being good at inventing video games is equivalent to being a good businessman. So
yes,
that is true. That is true. So okay, a good point.
Yeah. It checks out.
So I would go see this if there was a revival screening and they were going to let us throw frisbees at the screen and what have you. Like if they were going to give me a Tron frisbee, I would go to that screening and throw a frisbee at the screen.
Yes.
I liked it. So on a scale of 1 frisbee to 10 frisbees, how many frisbees? Nathan, we'll start with you since you're the most keen.
I think I'm going to give it 7.5 frisbees. I think it goes on the 7 scale. Like At worst, it's a 7.1, and at best, it's a 7.8.
Yeah. Yeah.
Depending
Okay.
on the scene and the moment and how you're feeling. So right now, I'm just gonna safely say 7.5.
Okay, perfect. Joe, you've got 2 lists. Where did you land?
All right, I'm gonna say, calculating my lists together, my
Mm-hmm.
average frisbee rating is probably about the same in the 7 range. I'm gonna say 7.6. Actually, I'm coming through full
Ooh,
circle.
there
I'm
is
pro
hope for
Tron.
the future.
I'm pro Tron. Actually, I was not a fan at first, but I'm coming through the other side. I really love,
Okay.
like you mentioned, Nathan, like touching on like really ahead of its time, touching on the like aspects of sort of quote unquote the
Right.
machines taking over, the AI, all that stuff, like very ahead of its time. And at least just like trying something new. Like I appreciate it. I see what they were going for. Didn't always work, but
Didn't always work.
So I guess we didn't really touch on this, and I'm gonna kind of like deviate from the rankings and scoring. So tell us some of the things that didn't work for you the first time around, and what were some of the things that you found yourself enjoying the second time around.
So like Krissy, I was kind of lost a little bit at the beginning. I wouldn't start with the video game worlds first. I would start
Yeah.
with the base
It's
reality
not like
first.
they don't have a lot of emotional motivation. It's a lot of informational questing.
Yeah, and so as an example for your question of like why I liked it the second time around, I was like, well, it really does kind of start to pick up once we're fully in the video game world. Like the plot actually does get a lot better, all things considered. And so like maybe just some people saw like the first 15 minutes and just kind of assumed that the whole movie was like that. So I guess I would say originally that kind of didn't really make sense to me. And then on the second watch through, I was like, that kind of makes me want to stick up for it more because I wonder if people maybe left because of that. So that would be an example, I would say. Yeah, regarding the graphics, I don't know about you guys, but I really like the sequence. I think it's only like 2 times, like at the beginning and the end, basically. But the sequence transferring between the real
Yes, I
world.
loved that.
Yeah, like it just looks like kind of like a kaleidoscope, like broken down. Like
Yeah.
it's so cool. I really liked that particularly, like as an example of graphics that I liked. But yeah, as I said, like even on the second watch through, like the like enemy starship things, the evil staples as Krissy calls them, and like the ship that they're traveling on, that the thruple is traveling on, just like very interesting design choices.
Like a solar sailor ship when there is no sun.
Yeah, it's like almost like a
writing energy.
It looks like a dandelion puff.
Yeah,
I'm sure there's people who know this, but there was that weird. It's not even a scene. It's a moment when they're on the solar sailor, and then it cuts to like these animated, like not computer generated, but animated like little spiders that pop up.
Oh yeah, the bugs. They were so cute.
And then a clearly ADR line from the actress saying, "Oh no, we got to be careful about these things." And am I wrong that they're not in the movie anymore at that point?
No, they're not in the movie anymore.
It's just such a weird addition.
They were like, we got to have bugs because everyone knows about computer bugs.
We've got this footage already. Can we put it in? Like that feels. It's such a weird addition.
It's just an incredibly forced pun.
Yeah.
I have another fun fact. Many of the Disney animators refused to work on this movie because they feared that computers would put them out of business. And boy, were they right.
But they did have to wait about a little over 10 years.
Yeah.
22 years. They had to wait 22 years.
Yeah, those animators.
It's a career.
We brought them back. So I give this movie a 6.5, and I enjoyed it. I did like it. I would watch it again. But I give it a 6.5 because Rocket absolutely refused to watch it with me, even though I dragged him into the room 3 times to be like, watch this movie.
Watch this. You're going to finish your Tron.
You can't leave the table until all your Tron is gone. He refused to watch it with me, and like Dorian watched it with me, but he looked at his phone the whole time. So I give it a 6.5. What about a deep cut recommendation? This one was really tough, I felt like.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have a good one, Nathan?
I do, but it's not necessarily something. It's not. This is more of an intellectual recommendation. So, like an interesting double feature. So this really was like the first. I'm sure there's other similar comparisons, but in a lot of ways, this was kind of like the first total green screen movie in a lot of ways.
Yeah, which I love.
Yeah, I do too. But it would be interesting to watch this in a double feature with Sky Captain and the World of Tomorrow.
Oh my god!
Which I feel was less successful than Tron as a green screen movie. Like feeling a little awkward and them in the space. And I feel like if anything, you're not necessarily going you're gonna appreciate Tron more for watching Sky Captain and just to see how hard it was,
Sky Captain is so much later, yeah. I love that. That's a great recommendation. Good one. I like that you went on the green screen aspect because a lot of the time I was watching the movie, I was thinking like, I gotta ask Nathan, like, how did they do this?
Yeah, like a good version. Like I don't want to maybe spoil anyone else's like recommendation, but like kind of like a like Wreck-It Ralph 2 is kind of like the same kind of thing to where like living in a internet computer world and doing it well.
Yeah, that's Wreck-It Ralph is on my why I really like it list of like the vein of them sort of setting the tone of like video game movies, which are so popular now.
Mm-hmm.
Or like you said,
and
like,
the Speed Racer guy looks like the Light Racer guy.
Yeah. Yeah.
I love that. So what's your deep cut recommendation, Joe?
I mean, not a deep cut recommendation, but I love Blade Runner. Same year. I was thinking about that movie a lot while watching this movie, just in terms of the graphics. Obviously, the final presentation is very different, but like in terms of early 80s, sort of everything was reaching for that new look, that very computerized look, which personally I think Blade Runner pulls off a lot better.
Oh, hell yeah.
Yeah.
Also, War Games, 1983. Love that movie.
Love War Games.
Yeah, I was thinking about that a lot as well. Also, because I think in War Games they also have I was thinking how 80s it is to have like shots of people typing something out very slowly on a computer. There was a lot of that in this movie in the first act, and I was like, oh, I'm pretty sure War Games has a lot of that as well. But yeah, if you want like a movie that is also very fun, like very adventurous, but not taking itself super seriously, but also like kind of groundbreaking for the time, I would recommend War Games. It's a great movie. Yeah, other than that, I can't really think of anything. I don't watch like super sci-fi movies, so those were really the only two that came to mind while I was watching this one.
No, those are perfect. That's great.
Thank you. Do you have any recommendations, Krissy?
I do. I want to recommend, based on the fun light cycle races, Segway electric scooters. I own one.
Uh-huh.
I commute to the neighborhood comedy theater on one.
Wow.
To save our environment, as you know. But I do like to pretend that when I'm scooting around on my light up Segway electronic scooter, that I am in a light cycle race and that Sark is on my heels. And that I can escape him by zip zap zopping through the computer world of downtown Mesa.
Yeah.
Okay.
I recommend everyone get one. and wherever you can scooter. Of course, in the months of the year when it is weather permitting to do so.
Hospitable to scooter. When it's
Yeah.
hospitable to scoot, please do so.
If you can scoot your boot. Yeah. Wonderful. So, Nathan, where can people support your filmmaking endeavors, and where is the last movie ever made currently screening?
Yeah, so my independent film, the last movie ever made, is available on Amazon and Apple TV to rent. But if you're one of those people who loves to watch things for free but still suffer through ads, you can see it on Tubi.
Wonderful. And on what airline is it on?
Emirates Airline. Flying Emirates Airline. Remember, it's included in the entertainment.
I am buying a plane ticket right now just for that.
Oh, thank you. Although I think we get more money if you just buy it on Amazon.
Oh,
yay!
Yeah, but then I don't get to fly Emirates.
That's true. Well, why not do both? Why not do both?
Do both. Joe, what would you like to plug? Where can people find you doing comedy out in the world?
People can't find me. I live under a rock.
Oh, no.
I don't live under a rock, but I don't currently have social media. I say currently because if you would like to find me, you can find me at the Neighborhood Comedy Theater.
Woo-woo!
Well, not at the moment; it's under construction, but soon to be renovated Neighborhood Comedy Theater. Every Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. You can find me occasionally doing stand-up here and there around the valley at small local venues, and Instagram possibly coming soon if I ever get off my ass and actually do it. So yeah,
you young people are going away from the social media, and I appreciate that about you.
Hey, anytime.
You can find me at the Neighborhood Comedy Theater right alongside Joe, doing funny things and cracking you up Thursday, Fridays, and Saturdays. And you can also find me on my other podcast, Gank That Drank, a supernatural drinking game podcast. And you'll be able to find me soon back on Make Me a Nerd podcast with Mandy Kaplan. In our most recent episode, we're going to be talking about the movie Labyrinth, which we discussed on this podcast not too long ago. And if you're here with us at the end and you still want to hear more, please consider supporting this podcast by doing all the things that you know help a podcast: like, rate, review, subscribe, thumbs up, 5 stars. All that helps a lot. And if you want even more, if you want to hear about our favorite video games and other such discussions after the show, then become a member at True Story FM. You just click become a member and you get all sorts of bonus fun, including a Discord server where you can talk directly to us and tell us what you thought of Tron and why we're right or wrong about it. So thank you so much. And while you're out there in the world, please keep the most excellent 80s podcast motto in mind. Be excellent to each other and party
on, dudes.